Hey everybody, Peebs here, and today we'll be taking a look at more Goodwill games. Wait a minute. Something doesn't feel right. Oh no, 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 no! Hey y'all, Scott here, and have you ever felt like you've been going through an identity crisis? No. That was weird. Alright, now this video is going to be a little different from what I usually do. I'm usually either talking about how stupid Mario is or how sexy a six-legged spider creature is. And no, don't ask. But this time around, I wanted to cover a topic that's been part of my life for about a decade now. Ooh, I wonder what it could be about. It's definitely not the title of this video. It's the title of this video. The Video Game Reviewer. In their style. Now, I'm sure you know this by now, but I'm not talking about any old game reviewer. Channels like IGN or Gamer Rants are what I like to call actual game reviewers, if you would even call them that.
I just couldn't shake the feeling that this was Persona without the heart.
They usually just stick to a grading scale of sorts and talk about the pros and cons of a video game in a relatively normal fashion. People like Ant Dude or Nitro Rad, on the other hand, tend to add their own personal style to whatever they're reviewing. And this is what I consider as a comedic video game reviewer. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna say video game reviewer because it sounds better, so don't judge me. But the main reason why I wanted to cover this topic in the first place is because in recent years, I have seen a large resurgence in this type of video genre, and as someone who has been admired by the whole sitting in front of a camera and screaming about video games type of content, I wanted to delve deeper into the topic and hear some opinions about everyone's style. And speaking of which, style. Damn, I'm really good at these segues. I should get an award or something. Thanks, editing me. But yeah, style. It seems to be the main hook that most of these content creators have. It's what makes them stick out from the rest, and it's much more than just the way they talk. It's their editing, their production quality, their jokes, and even sometimes their persona. It's what really makes you sit down, or standing up, I don't know what you're doing right now, and make you think if you should click that big old subscribe button. Speaking of which, you know, it's right there. Alright, that's the only time you're going to hear me say that on this channel, so you better enjoy it. But it's also something that's really hard to nail down when people start making videos within this genre. I mean, yeah, if you're vlogging, it's not that hard to add your own style, like, hey, it's your boy, Lemlyton here, and today we're gonna... Where the fuck am I? However, with comedic video game reviewing, it's harder than it seems. And we can trace this all the way back to... 2004? I was still shitting my diapers back then. Yes, the one and only who pioneered the genre in the first place, James Rolfe, aka the Angry Video Game Nerd. This guy is rightfully well known for being one of the best within the genre and is highly respected by everyone who came after. And while I never had the pleasure to grow up with his content back then, I did start watching most of it around 2016, and I can definitely agree that he has come a long way. From his first video on Castlevania 2 to his newest one on whatever episode is up by the time this video comes out, he has shown some tremendous progress. But the main takeaway I want to state is that this guy influenced a bunch of people to create content similar to his, especially with the rise of YouTube in the late 2000s. Oh my god, there's a star! And what followed was a wave of the biggest gaming reviewers of the early 2010s. Peanut Butter Gamer, JonTron, Angry Joe Show, Space Hamster, Cat Icarus, Pro Jared, and so many more. And I know we can all sit here together like a damn AA meeting and talk about some slightly controversial events that happened with some of these YouTubers, but does this look like that kind of place? Actually, it does. Shut up. But there's no denying the fact that these creators were a huge inspiration to a bunch of people who wanted to start YouTube, myself included. For example, here's a clip of a video I shall not name when I was 12 years old.
Welcome Nintendo fans, Smash Bros 123 here. You probably noticed my back... Why am I even here?
And that's where my credibility goes to die. And this is where I want to get back into the topic of style because as most of us viewers know, these YouTubers have their own designated way to convey their information and it's pretty distinguishable, ignore this, I don't want to do this line again, distinguishable between all of them. Cool. However, this is where I want to mention that if you feel like you're having a hard time finding out a way to deliver content like these guys, then don't worry too much about it. The main reason why I say that is because if you look at the beginning of all these channels, who were they trying to imitate?
Daikatana.
That's right, AVGN. Now, some of them are more obvious than others at the time, but you can see the trend with these early 2010 YouTubers that they reviewed games in a more cynical and serious manner, and they made some crude jokes here and there.
Man, this game is so donkey doo-doo ass shit. I would much rather.
Whoa, he can't say that. Cut him off! Cut him off! But for example, if we compare one of PBG's first videos back in 2010 to one of his newer reviews, you'll see a drastic difference.
Today we'll be talking about Mass Effect 2. Just keep in mind that the version I'm reviewing is the PC version. If you're using the Xbox 360 version, it should be slightly different, particularly in the controls, but other than that, you should be pretty much the same.
So I dedicated my entire life from that point on to finding them all.
And this is something I find fascinating. Seeing people over time get more and more comfortable being themselves and portraying their opinions in their own unique style is something that just makes me feel all ticky inside. Or it could be the bomb I ate earlier. Nah, I should be. Hell, I'm sure if I'm still doing YouTube from 3 years from now, this video may seem completely different than my newer ones, and you know what? That's okay. Everyone needs time to develop their own style, and it can take a few months to even a few years until you eventually get your own tactic. Or you could be Scott the Woz and nail it on your first rodeo. Okay, maybe that's a bit exaggerated, but I think it's safe to say that Scott the Woz is basically this generation's angry video game nerd. No other YouTuber I've seen has had such an impact on the smaller channels I've encountered this past year. Nearly each of these content creators has shown their Wozniak inspiration one way or another, and it's crazy to see how this educational dry sense of humor style has had such a big effect on newer creators. And I'm not innocent of that either. I feel like some video topics and jokes I've done in the past feel straight up like a Scott the Woz video, and while I could look at them and say, "Ugh, what were you thinking?" I'm honestly glad to see a small shift from my older videos to my newer ones. And do you know why I started developing a slightly different style? It's because I spent weeks analyzing every single YouTuber and their style, and I can't get them out of my head.
Hey y'all.
Hey everybody, I'm Peanut Butter Gamer.
This one is my personal favorite. Spider-Man.
PBG, he gets straight to the point, has a more hey everyone casual feel, makes a more emphasis on editing jokes and singing, and just overall has a childlike vibe. Categoris, much more chaotic, has extremely fast-paced jokes, covers usually wider topics and only focuses on the funny bits, and has a very pleasing voice. Old school Jontron, much more casual and skit-based, has more ad-lib jokes and random facts thrown in, also has a huge emphasis on edited and text jokes. And also, his camera is usually held and controlled by somebody else. And trust me, this one little thing makes the whole video have a completely different feel to it. What's that over there? You're so sexy. What are you doing here? Then we move on to people like NitroRad, who has a more serious review style to him, but is well known for his high-valued skits and chill vibes within his videos. And then people like AntDude, who share similarities to James' casual vibe, but gives a more reminiscent feel of the mid-2010s game reviewer era. And this all comes back to the more prevalent one today, Scott the Woz. He's more known for his dry sense of humor, quick-paced jokes, and his little mannerisms that are indeed little, but makes a big difference on his style. For example, if I did a joke that refers to a random garbage game like this, who would it remind you of? Oh man, I can't wait to beat this game, it's gonna be good! But not as good as when I played DuckTales. And you see, it's these little things that make up someone's unique style very efficiently. Yeah, it's gonna be a little hard to not be inspired by people you're watching, but like I said before, there's no shame in it. But when you start to realize the little things that make up someone's unique style, you can pick and choose whatever you like to form it into your own unique one. Hell, if you haven't noticed, that's what I've been trying to do with these past few videos. I've been taking a lot of inspiration from a bunch of different YouTubers, and hopefully over time I can develop my own style that'll be up there with others. But it's a journey that all of us smaller content creators have to go through one way or another, and I truly wish the best of luck for anyone trying to figure out what they want to do and going all the way with it. And well, that's really all I wanted to say on my side. Making videos is an extremely fun hobby to do, and luckily there's a bunch of other people who share a similar interest in making videos like this. So I decided to ask some of them and see what their thoughts were on their inspiration and style within this video. And I do want to say that I'm very grateful for everyone who decided to be part of the discussion. It really means a lot to me. Like, I could say thanks a ton. Get it? Because my name is like Lemlyton. Oh, forget it. Just roll the clips.
Sup guys, I just got back from my meeting with the IRS. They were not very happy, but on the way, I checked my mailbox and I got a letter from Lemlyton, so let's check it out. Answer these questions or you will be sorry. He's just playing around. Let's answer them anyways though.
The money. I'm just joking because, haha, I'd have to say my biggest inspiration for making game-related content is that it's just a good outlet. My friends as a kid were never as obscenely obsessed with games as I was, so I didn't really have anyone to rant about why Mario Galaxy 2 was actually the bad one. So I started just talking to the camera, and only very recently have those videos become watchable. Hey guys, we're doing some Money Wars.
I think what inspired me to make video game content is, video games. I think that they're pretty epic. I feel like the people that influenced me the most, I'm gonna be 21 soon, but I'm currently 20. So I grew up with the normal boots era. I grew up with some of those classic YouTubers that everyone remembers fondly. And so I think that they shaped me a lot.
I think it's pretty obvious that my main inspiration is Scott the Woz, but I've also taken inspiration from other creators like Catakaris, and I've been a bit of the Angry Video Game Nerd. I think everyone's taking inspiration from the Angry Video Game Nerd at this point. Scott has been my main inspiration to start making content, and at the start, he was the main inspiration for the style of content and how I did stuff.
So, believe it or not, I've been creating content online for over 10 years now, ever since 2011, and my inspirations have changed for the type of content that I was creating. Chugga Conroy was a big one, just like his enthusiasm for video games and knowing all this information about them. I wanted to be like that a lot. But then in 2017, I was on YouTube a lot, watching a lot of videos, various creators. I tried so many different types of content that you will never see ever. And one of the people that I started watching was Radical Soda. His Sonic reviews were very interesting to me because before this, I only saw like the Angry Video Game Nerd and JonTron do this kind of stuff, and I never thought of me being able to like make that kind of content. I was very interested in like film and editing and shooting stuff, and I gave it a crack once I saw Radical Soda because he was a smaller channel when I found him, and I was like, well, if he can do that, I can definitely do it.
It honestly depends how far you want to go back. When I was younger, I watched a lot of Mario plush videos, specifically by Big Yoshi fan, and I'd consider him to be my first inspiration to make video game content, even if it was just me rehashing his videos almost word for word. I then went on to make Minecraft content, inspired by the likes of Skydar's Minecraft and the Diamond Minecart, before eventually transitioning into more general gameplay videos, heavily inspired by Vanos Gaming and that whole crew. But even when I was making those videos, it never really felt right. Eventually I found YouTubers like Arlo, Peanut Butter Gamer, and Relaxalax, who made game reviews instead of videos of them just playing through a game. And that was how I realised that that's what I wanted to do. And I'm also massively inspired by Ant Dude, Scott the Woz, Cadigarus, just to name a few more. The honesty and personality that their content exudes is something that I really aspire to.
As far as modern video creation goes, because, you know, it's a whole different landscape, I feel like people like Scott the Woz definitely influenced me way more going forward, just because that's like a new style of video game content that it almost kind of like marked the ending of like the old YouTube and started a new chapter of video game content. And that's something that really inspired me, was moving into this new branch of like new video game content. That's something I'm really interested in, and that really inspires me to keep creating and try to put myself in there as well.
If we really wanted to go back to the root of the matter, it would be way back in like 2014, 2015. I was watching Let's Play channels like Chugga Conroy and Kobanarmani 456, stuff like that, and that kind of inspired me to want to do Let's Play videos, which is something I did for a long time until I eventually changed my channel to what it is today. Which, take one look at my channel and I feel like it's pretty obvious that I, like many other people, was inspired by Scott the Woz. I watched his videos and it was something that I'd never really seen before. The way his videos were, just the skit-based humor, including his friends and stuff, and funny roles, and while still talking about a game, reviewing a game, and still doing that in a funny manner too. That was just something that really resonated with me, and I was just wondering, like, is this something I can do myself? Am I funny enough? Am I creative enough?
I'm gonna throw out the obvious James Rolfe. I think for most people doing these reviewer type videos, he's certainly an inspiration, certainly a pioneer of online gaming content, and I've been personally watching him since I was young, and when I was exposed to the nerd as a kid, it really opened my eyes to online content as a whole. Another one would be Scott the Woz. Looking at my older content, and even a little bit of the stuff I currently do, that's pretty evident, but his content just always sort of resonated with me, and ever since I found him way back in 2017, I just remember going, damn, that's the kind of content I've always wanted to do. And here I am making videos about games and related things I enjoy talking about.
As for people that have inspired me, I think I can boil it down to 3 main big inspirations. I always loved having skits in my videos, but I really started making them a priority from watching Angry Joe Show. He showed that you can have a super over-the-top corny skit in a video, but it can actually help to prove a point, all while being funny. My second biggest inspiration is the Act Man. His review style of content and humor really rubbed off on me, and that's everyone I'm inspired by. Well, except for me, of course. I mean, that was weird.
In terms of the technical stuff, it's certainly editing, but really the most difficult thing is sticking to it. Back in the day, or really just a year ago, I was constantly taking breaks due to demotivation and other things. It took me a while to go, yeah, you know what, I'm really gonna stick to doing these weekly uploads, and I am forever grateful for it. Because even in the few months I have done weekly, so much good stuff has come out of these videos, and I am happy with the direction my channel is currently going.
Trying to change my tone of voice and how I deliver and write my lines to be delivered, if that makes sense. To start myself away from creators like Scott and try and find my own way and how I just say stuff is probably the most difficult thing I've had to try and do. But I also feel like I'm making progress on that. The most difficult part of changing your style of content to be more original is to stop writing like you're writing for other creators. That's the bottom line of it, I think.
Creating content, the most difficult part is just kind of getting the ball rolling. It's a lot of work to do, and so I think that is something that deters a lot of people, is because you have to play multiple roles in the terms of creating a piece of entertainment, right? It's very complicated. When we grow up watching all these people, when we have seen other YouTubers that have inspired us, it's very difficult to remove that influence and be completely yourself with 100% utmost confidence. Like, it's very difficult to do that.
When I was more smaller, a lot of the smaller details didn't really matter because I was just trying to have fun. And then when I started taking it a little bit more seriously, a lot more detail went into like the editing and the writing and the acting and the shooting and the this, that, and the other. And it was always just trying to make it better and better and better and better. It's hard because like it technically on my channel, if a video doesn't hit 1,000 views, it's technically not like it's not successful. And that can be really like disheartening or really just kind of like ruin motivation a lot of the time because you want people to see your videos. I create content because I want to entertain people, and I want as many people to see my stuff as possible because I think what I make is very enjoyable. And so if people aren't watching it, it's like, oh, what's the point? And then there's also trying to like find a uniqueness within like the formula that you have created for yourself, because everything's inspired off of other people. It's hard to find originality nowadays because, you know, everything has kind of already been done already. Like some of my favorite videos is when it was just like all like me and I didn't worry about what people like were gonna think of it, and it was so just really like satisfying to create a video like that, because those are the videos that I look the most fondly on.
The thing I find most difficult when creating content is trying to find a unique style, and that's something I've kind of found a little success with, in my opinion at least, because I just don't know what I can do. The reason you're doing all this is because you were inspired by one person, one or several people who inspired you to make the videos the way you do. And when that's your mindset, it's a little hard to switch from that. It's a little hard to try to think of something that's more you, because this is what you're used to, this is what you've been making, and that's what you like making. You know, getting comments that are just like, oh, you're a Scott the Woz clone, stuff like that, it does get a little bit disheartening over time. And I've seriously thought about how I can make my style more unique, but it's really hard, because what can you do that no one else has ever done before? it's very hard to find something like that because there's so many people doing videos on the internet. Surely your idea can't be original. That's my thought process. Eventually, one of these days, maybe I'll finally come into a style of my own, but for the time being, I'm kind of still in that inspiration phase. I'm still just riding the coattails of someone who came before me.
I think the most difficult part of creating content is dealing with perfectionism. It can be so easy to get into the mindset of if this isn't perfect, then it's not good enough. And that can lead to spending way too much time on minor details that nobody's really gonna notice, which can then significantly reduce the enjoyment factor of creating a video. And in terms of developing a unique style, the most difficult part of that is honestly just finding a way to create something unique that I'm proud to call my own. It can be really difficult to avoid doing or saying something that somebody's already done or said, especially in a space where having X opinion on Y thing is the trendy thing to do. So finding a way to put a unique perspective out there can be quite the challenge.
I don't think I'm talented enough to just talk to a camera for 30 minutes unedited, and although I kinda wish I was, I find it fun to have to spend a gross amount of time project to project. The only difficulty I see with making videos is just how long the process takes sometimes. See, I'm a perfectionist, which basically means I'm never happy. No matter how long it takes to make something, I'm never fully pleased with it, so I learned that it's better to put something out rather than nothing.
I am very comfortable with my style as of lately. I think it's gotten to a point where it is very fun to watch. I have kind of leaned into certain aspects, like with the color grading and like the shooting, making it look more like a sitcom from like a Disney Channel show, because that's what a lot of people compare it to. And I really like that idea because I grew up on those shows. And then just trying to slowly also just add a little bit more like edge to like jokes, or trying to do things in a way that are unexpected, or how like other people probably wouldn't do it.
To some extent, I am comfortable with it because I, to some extent, believe that this is a genre on YouTube now. Yeah, I still love watching every second of it because, like I said, that's the kind of stuff I want to watch.
I'm pretty comfortable with my current style in terms of like, we do an intro, we do a middle, and then we do an outro, and we have a bunch of cutaways in between. That sort of style of video I'm completely comfortable in, and that's what I want to do.
I think my answer to this question will forever be the same. I'm really comfortable and happy with my current style, but I'll always try and improve and refine it wherever I can, whilst also looking back on previous things I've made with disgust. It's only natural that if you're making a conscious effort to evolve and grow your content, that the stuff you've made previously is gonna feel dated in one way or another. And if you ask me, that's just a sign that you have improved, and that you will continue to improve.
How comfortable am I? You tell me. I do what I do because I love doing it. My style has room to improve, it always will, but that comes with putting more and more out. You just gotta keep trying.
As the moment, I am fairly comfortable with my style. I do feel like there's stuff I can do to make myself stand out more. However, the way I do things is fine, and I don't feel like changing it drastically.
I'm still a little not perfectly confident. I'm only a couple videos in, and I'm still trying to figure out how do I capture the humor I like without feeling like somebody else or mimicking anything but anyone else. Literally, that's pretty much it.
And I don't know what I can add, honestly, other than a new face to watch. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but in the current state of the genre, I do feel like there's so much content, we're kind of hitting a plateau of innovation, or adding anything really. Not a bad thing, it's just that there's so much that's been done already that I don't know if there's something that hasn't been done.
In terms of like what I can add, I tried to be a little bit more cinematic with my presentation and what I do. Creating like the hour-long backlog video like that, like I don't care what anyone says, that's a whole movie. And I did that because I thought like you could make like a whole movie of just like reviews and stuff like that, and you could make it even like a musical, and it would be like really fun to watch. And it really was something that was fun to not only make but also to watch. Like I watched that video a couple times like since it came out, and it's just really fun. But I want to lean more into those aspects of like getting more cinematic, because I go to film school. I'm going to graduate this year with a film degree, and it's something that I understand a lot, making films, like both from an editing standpoint and from like a shooting, writing, and all of that. And so if I can lean into that more and put more of like that into it, I think it'd be really fun.
I really really don't know if there's anything truly new I can add to this genre of content, purely because there are so many wonderfully talented and creative people already here. I could try and pretend that mixing comedy and reviews and an ongoing narrative is a new thing that's wholly unique to me, but the truth is that that's been done before, and will continue to be done in the future. All I can hope to give is something that I'm proud to call my own feelings on a topic, mixed with my own sense of humour, and a story that I want to tell, whilst also being as informative and inclusive as I can.
As far as what I think I could add to the reviewer genre, I think it's just a different kind of humor and a different kind of way to tell a story. And I feel like that's probably my biggest strong suit, is I can make a story very, very like fun to watch and listen to. But again, it's very hard to be like fully unique. There's probably somebody else who does exactly what I do. It's just very difficult to be completely 100% unique, though I do want to find more and more ways to stretch outside the box, have more and more unique kinds of humor, more and more experimentation, and just crazier topics. That's pretty much my goal.
In terms of trying to just make it a little bit different, just adding some spice to the editing and stuff like that, just structuring things differently and doing my own thing with it, that is something I'm trying to work on. If anything, I can just add my own voice and my own opinions to the reviewer genre. I want people to appreciate what I have to say and appreciate my work, and that's the bottom line of it. So that's what I can add, I guess, myself.
Now this sounds mega cheesy, but it's also mega true. Be true to yourself.
Just be yourself.
Be yourself.
I don't think I could have put out as many videos as I have without getting burned out if it wasn't for just doing what comes naturally. But you might be asking, my content isn't that good, how do I get better? Keep freaking trying! If you look back at your second to latest video and wish you could redo the whole thing, then you know you're doing something right. Shoot, I just recently found out about closing gaps in Premiere Pro. Oh, that's nice.
Don't advertise yourself as being like someone's content. Advertise it as being your content, you know? People might watch you because you remind them of another YouTuber and they just want more of that content, but what you want people to do is click for the topic, the game, whatever you're talking about, and stay for you.
Just don't worry about what other people are going to think of you. Don't worry about what people are going to think about your opinion. Don't worry if you are too much like someone else. Just do you. It's something that I struggled with making videos because I got into the habit of like doing things because, oh, such and such would do it, so therefore people will like it. Or I don't know if people are going to like this, so I'm going to cut it out of the video. But then when you do that, you really just remove like the parts of the video that make it more unique to you.
Number one thing you can do is listen to people who have no obligation to be nice to you. And what I mean by that is YouTube comments, Discord servers where you don't know everyone, or just in general, sharing it around in places that you don't know people. Because if you only listen to your friends and family, they're going to tell you it's great no matter what, and your content is awesome. But if you listen to people who have never heard about you and will not have an incentive to be nice to you, then that's the perfect criticism, because they'll tell you exactly what you're doing wrong from an outsider's perspective, and that is the golden advice you need. So please, if you get something like that, or if a video slightly takes off, listen to every single comment and honestly take it completely. Like, just take it, because it's the best criticism you will get.
Honestly, just start making things and keep on making things without being scared of failure. I sat on the ideas for my channel for years, but I never started to make those ideas real because I was scared that they weren't good enough. But the truth is, there's no such thing as good enough. You will fail, and if you're anything like me, you'll fail a lot. But that's a natural part of any creative process. Don't let it discourage you, because the more you continue to create the things that you want to make, the better they'll become with time.
You are allowed to be inspired by someone else. You are allowed to find that inspiration and copy it to some extent to get your start, or even, beyond that. Because eventually, if you keep doing it for a while, it'll slowly become your own eventually.
If you want to start growing on YouTube, the toughest pill you have to swallow is sometimes you gotta conform. You gotta start titling your videos stuff like, that Nintendo Direct was actually pretty good, instead of like, February Nintendo Direct, and then a witty subtitle. But I still feel like you can be incredibly creative on this platform still. I don't think that's gone, but sometimes you just gotta look at other people's thumbnails and be like, does this work?
Also, just make the videos that you want to watch. Don't focus on making things that'll be successful, because that'll only end up setting you up for disappointment. I make content with one target audience in mind. Me. And yeah, none of my videos have shook the internet, but that doesn't make me any less proud of them. And that's all that really matters.
If you're influenced by somebody, which I presume you are because you're watching YouTube, so somebody might influence you, try to think about what is influencing your video creation style because of them, and go the opposite way, because that's the quickest way you're going to find out your own style and be completely unique, and that's what makes it on YouTube. You don't want to be the second iteration of somebody, you want to be the first iteration of you. So that will be my topic of advice. Anyways, I gotta head to another IRS meeting. They're getting really mad at me, so see ya.
Wow. They're amazing.